I want to talk a little bit about how I experience my DID system because I don't think that is very commonly represented um, on platforms like YouTube or really any streaming platform. And it's just I don't really see myself in a lot of the DID content out there. But I don't think that's because there isn't other people like me. I just think that we tend to be a lot more covert and quiet in how we deal with our system and what we're comfortable with sharing with the world. And I spoke a little bit before about how for me personally, writing is where I'm most comfortable sort of sharing everything that I experience with my system because I feel like writing transcends everything about this world and like what you see on the screen. And it's a place where I can feel most comfortable to truly just let go of this fear of being perceived even by my own self or my own consciousness and identities. And I can truly just completely let go of all of that. Um, so this channel might be a little bit different than what you typically see with DID content. I don't think that makes other content wrong or anything like that. It just means that it's different and maybe more of content like this should be put out there. So I want to take some time to talk about that today and also to just, sorry, I'm like nervous, so I keep touching my hair. Stop. We're going to stop doing that at some point. We're going to stop. Um, so I want to talk a little bit about that today. Something that I do think might be a little bit unique for me. I don't know, maybe whoever watches this video can let me know. Might be how my system is organized, which I guess every system is organized completely differently. Um, this is something that I've only discovered fairly recently. It's a part of what, led to me writing this and also led to my conversion from atheism to idealism, which I think I can officially say that now. I feel like I'm basically an idealist at this point. I struggled with that for a bit because it was hard for me to figure out if it was coming from my alters or me. And I've, realized that it's all me. Obviously, like something is guiding me to this. And I think, regardless of the things that I'm about to say that are going to sound out of this world, um, although not any more or less crazy than what a lot of people believe in terms of religion, to be honest. Honestly, I think it's more grounded than what a lot of people believe in terms of religion, at least from my experience. I think it's important for me to sort of go on this journey because this is how I'm learning about my system and how I'm really connecting with my alters and how we're all getting on the same page towards healing. It's really just letting go of my preconceptions about reality and the universe and just sort of letting them guide me on this path. And yeah, that's pretty much what's led me here and led me to writing my book. In the beginning, there was us. So I think where to start with this. So I think like one of the first things I remember, I think probably that really started me figuring out that my alters see my body and my mind as their own universe, essentially, was probably about 8 months ago. I didn't even realize it at the time. I just realized it in retrospect looking back. But I had this dream, which my alters really like to communicate with me through my dreams. Again, didn't know this at the time. It happens really intensely now, pretty much every night. I'll get into that later. But I had this dream where I was just this non-physical form just floating in space. And I was like surrounded by these blue lights and I just had this sensation. I remember there was like this big light in the middle and I just had this huge like knowing feeling sensation of just like feeling like the universe was this living thing, tapestry that we were all a part of. And when I awoke from that dream, I remember doing research about our universe. I was like, is this a theory, like philosophically? I never heard of it before. So I did some research into it just out of curiosity. And I found, that's probably was like my first little toe dip, I guess, into philosophy. Um, of course, then I obviously realized later, like, it wasn't just that my alters were trying, like, it wasn't me having this dream just about this universe. It was also my alters being like, hey, this is you. This is what we see inside of you. You are our universe. You are our creator, essentially. Which is how my alters see me. That's kind of what my book is about when I talk about being the creator and the creation, being the dreamer and the dreamt of, but extending that outside of myself and into the entirety of the universe, because that is how my alters perceive it. Because from their perception, how is this universe any less real than what they're experiencing inside? So for them, I think in like the second poem of my book, which I believe is titled Remember, I believe there's actually names of alters in there, but they're not really like, they don't have physical forms. They're more like conscious agents. Remember's one, if you caught that in that poem. I guess I'll read that one for you guys so we can like know this is, I think, how my alters perceive the start of the universe inside of me, how they perceive it. It goes, let us go. Remember, remember. Those are the first words you spoke before you knew there was even an us to speak to. Let us go, you roared, scratched, snarled, and howled until we thought we had no other choice but to let you do unto them what they had done unto you. And if they have, haven't you? Let us go, you said, and that was the beginning of the fall. The night the sky tore at the seams of what made us whole. The morning the universe screamed, scattered, ran, and hid. Remember, remember, that it was you who named the forgotten, and what was forgotten who named all, when all became lost, and lost was what became of everyone and everything, to no one and nothing at all. Remember, remember, remember what we said. So in that poem, remember is actually also a name. I think remember is one of the only alters that are named here that has some form. I think remember, they don't have like a form that stays like current in the system. They are more like a series of memories. They kind of hold basically everything. Um, all the knowledge, like remembering is just, that's kind of how I picture them. It's like they just have all these memories. So they do sometimes take forms of memories. All the other names of the alters in there, like the forgotten, the all, the lost, those are more like conscious agents in my system. And beneath that, there's all these different subsystems. And how my alter's belief is that there isn't really like, although I do have alters that perceive time, time doesn't really exist in the way that we think of it. It's not linear. So I have alters. One of the most common alters that I feel like I switch into more frequently is probably the alters that are sort of all versions of myself throughout my life that are sort of like frozen in time, but they're all me. And then I also have alters that are very distinct and have their own personalities and their own lives and literally living on the inside. There's, from my understanding, a whole network of alters that actually don't know that they're alters and they're living in the inner world. But they will occasionally come out and I'll have communication with them. But from their perception, this reality is a dream to them. So their reality inside the inner world is what's real. And this is a dream. It kind of relates to the fact that I feel when we dissociate, we feel like very dreamlike, right? Like I mean, literally, dissociation can make you feel like you can't. I've seriously had a dissociative episode that is so surreal that I will question if I am dreaming. That is how intense my dissociative episodes are. Like I genuinely question myself if I'm dreaming or not because I'm prone, which I'll get into that in a minute, to lucid dreaming, which is I wake up and I become conscious in my dream. So I will start questioning if I'm dreaming because of how intense it is. And that is how my alters perceive some of them, at least. I don't know if it's all of them or not. I don't have all the information. This is just a limited amount that I'm aware of. They perceive that as their dreams. I think I had an alter that spoke about that a little bit. Well, I think I had a couple alters actually that spoke about that a little bit. And in dreams, I'll read part of that poem here. This world is weird. How did I get here? I am Edmure. I don't think I went to bed here, but I woke up here. This world is weird. And then there's another part that I believe is written by a separate alter, which is, do you see? Your reality is where alters may find themselves when they step off the path of their singular dreams. It's our dream. It's your dreams. Reality for you is another dream, and so on and so forth. Death is the endless dream. Now, it's really mind-blowing for me about that fact is that ever since I started writing this book and gotten into finishing it, when I got to that part of it, when I had the realization that my alters believe that reality is basically an endless series of dreams, and I'll go into more details about what that means exactly to them. But I started having dreams where I would feel like I was myself, and it would just, I would have this realization that I wasn't in my body and that I was living in somebody else's life. Like I was an alter switching into somebody else. And I believe that was me switching into alters in my inner world and their lives. Like I've had dreams where I am like getting ready for breakfast and I'm like with a family and I'm getting ready for school. And I remember at one point, because I'm a teacher, I've spent most of my life working with children. I remember like lecturing a kid about bullying, thinking that I'm, the me of this world, and just thinking, going into that teacher like teacher role, and then having this realization suddenly that I'm not, like, and that I'm like a student. And I remember like looking down at my hand and like wondering where my wedding ring is, and like like not understanding why it was. And then I woke up and I was like, what the fuck was that? I think that was like the first one I really became conscious of, and now ever since then it's been nonstop. And last night was actually one of the most intense ones I've had. I don't know. My husband says that we did watch Inception, but I don't remember it. So I'm gonna have to like rewatch it, because last night I had the most trippy. I could not. I was literally nonstop waking up into another dream, to the point like I was living all these different lives, and every time I would wake up, and I was trying to wake myself up because I was lucid dreaming, I was aware. I would wake up into another dream, and I started panicking. Like I thought I died, genuinely, because I was like, I can't get out of this. I'm stuck here. This is where I'm just stuck here. I can't get out. I'm like, what is happening? Why can't I leave? Why can't I wake up? Like, I was doing all of these different things. I mean, it was crazy because I was like eating food, and like I started testing all these things in the dream, trying to figure out, because I was like, why can't I feel everything? And like, why is everything so physical here? And I almost, maybe, actually, I'm realizing this now, maybe that was the point. Maybe they were trying to show me how physical that their reality feels for them, because I couldn't tell. Like there was even a point in my dream where I remember waking up and thinking I was waking up for real. Like I thought I was really waking up. And then I started like seeing these like geometric shapes and stuff, like futuristic shit was happening. Um like I remember seeing like somebody was like on a computer, but the computer wasn't there. It was just like this like screen like floating, and I'm like, bro, I'm hallucinating. And then I was like thinking, I'm like, I must have, I need to like call my husband, because I think like I need to get a hold of somebody, because I'm having, something's wrong, something seriously wrong. I got a tumor in my brain, something's happening. Because I started seeing all these like images. I can't even remember everything that I saw, because it was just so, I remember the colors were just really bright too. That was like super intense. But I was convinced that I was like hallucinating, because I thought I was awake and I was just seeing stuff. Um, because I remember I felt like I was in my own apartment. I think because it was like that confusion of feeling like I was waking up in my own apartment, but then seeing all this stuff that like shouldn't be there. And then I had this like panic of hallucinating. Which obviously with DID, for anyone, if there is anyone watching this who isn't familiar, people with DID, despite what some people might think or what some media has portrayed, we don't actually hallucinate unless you have like a disorder, like is that the word? We're gonna pretend I know how to say that word and that I said it right. And yeah, unless you have another disorder like schizophrenia with DID, you don't actually hallucinate or see things, and you don't hear auditory noises either. Everything that you hear or see is within your own mind and body. Um, when we say hear, when I say I hear my alters, I'm talking about like my inner selves. It's like a co-conscious thing. It's like your inner thoughts. There's no outward noises coming from outside of myself. Everything that I feel, everything that I hear, everything that I see is coming from within me. So it's like when you imagine something, but it's like I don't have control over what I'm imagining. I get flashes, almost like visions sometimes too. Kind of like flashbacks, I guess. But sometimes the flashbacks aren't actually related to my life, they're related to my alters and what they are seeing and perceiving in the inner world, which seems to be happening a lot more so recently. So going into like how they perceive death and the whole like endless dream thing. This is where shit gets like really trippy. Okay. Just walk with me for a minute. All right. Just go on this walk with me. They believe, should I say I don't know, that we are kind of all sort of living inside the absolute consciousness is like a god essentially. um but not like how you would typically perceive of a god, but like we're in a subconscious mind basically, but that mind has no, that mind is also in another mind, and that all of our minds literally have universes inside of them, that it is never ending, it is like a spiral. That is what other dimensions are. They also believe that when we die, as we're on this journey to rediscovering ourselves and who we are and getting to this ultimate path of truth and becoming our higher self, like going through this whole cycle, that for a lot of our lives, we actually go back and restart our whole life over. That's what I talk about in like Live, Die, Rewind, which is one of the last poems I wrote for the book. It was so, I literally had like a full, I don't know if I want to say panic attack, but my heart rate was so high when I wrote that poem. I was like, I was tripping out. I was tripping out. I remember I was watching an episode of Bob's Burgers and I like paused it and then went to go rewind it, and then suddenly something just like my alters was just like, "Hey, you know that feeling that you've been having about being watched and like you're in a loop and all that? Let me like give you this download of information all at once." And it was very overwhelming. Anyways, so they believe that like when people talk about seeing their whole life flash before their eyes, they believe that's because we're literally going back and restarting. And essentially, it does like what people talk about parallel universes. You do have the choice to make different choices in these parallel lives. And eventually, you get to a point where you will start remembering and realizing that you are in a loop and that this is a life that you have lived multiple times. And at that point, that's where this life will, when this ends, when I die, they believe that, I think there's like, again, I don't know everything. This is probably stuff that I will figure out when I write my next book. They have this like whole system set up where I'm only allowed to know certain things at a certain time, and a lot of it it's like through my writing that I find things out, that I discover things. Um because knowing certain things all at once would be so intense, because the way that I remember is not, it's not like just being told something, it's literally I feel everything um that my alters are feeling, and like I've said in my other video, it can put me in a state of shock and trigger seizures and me passing out and like heart rhythmia episodes. So it's not something it's that I can just handle all at once. But yeah, anyways, what was I saying? So much, I sound so just, anyway, I sound crazy. We're gonna accept it, it's okay, it's okay. It's all right. This is our experience. It doesn't have to be your experience. This is our experience. All right. Um, so we go back. Oh, so I think that's when they believe that you get a choice, like there's a choice that comes with what happens next, where you go from there. Um, and I don't know if that's really been fully revealed to me yet, but I think it's also becoming something like meeting your higher self in the endless stream, sort of what's been guiding me. And that's also kind of trippy too, because the next book that I'm writing is essentially about an altar that I believe at this point, I don't know for certain, but I believe that they actually are my higher self. But it's almost like it's like this whole cycle, right? Like I wrote this book with all these messages, and then I'm going back and writing the altar who almost was experiencing all of these things, where all these messages, where a lot of this stuff came from, and experiencing all of this, but in the inner world, where I'm experiencing it out here, they're experiencing it in my head and under different circumstances. Um, and them becoming my higher self and then guiding me into what I'm supposed to become, into becoming them. So because there is this perception for them that time isn't linear and it's this whole cycle, it's like that's kind of why there's this repeat in my book of everything has happened before and everything will happen again. Time is an illusion. Time doesn't exist, but I exist. Even if it's inside a mind, I exist. If my universe is a mental space, who's to say yours isn't? Um, yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. We should just we should sit with that probably. Is there anything else I should say? How long is this video? 21 minutes. It was a lot that I just laid out in 21 minutes. Okay. Um, any other crazy that I should stop calling myself crazy. I should stop faulting myself. Probably. Look, it's hard for me to adjust to this new aspect of myself. Um, selves, I guess. I'm not I was a pretty hard set atheist like 6 months ago. So having this awakening of realizing that the universe is more vast than I thought, and it's not this simple, and that there is so much more to it, and feeling it with every core of my being, and going on this whole journey that feels so surreal and out of this world to me, it is just very hard for me to accept. But I think that's good because that means I'm staying grounded. And I'm walking this path, but I'm also like here doing what I got to do to not fully lose my grip on do I want to say reality? I don't know. Anyways, I'm rambling now at this point. Anything else I should say? Like, I wanted to end on another note thing. Maybe I could end on a poem. Let's end on a poem. Also, well, I don't know why I'm saying this now because you're already going to know, but I think the mood that I want to set for this channel is kind of not really editing my videos that much. First off, it's a lot of time that I don't want to spend, quite frankly. Um, and it just feels, I don't want to say not genuine because there's nothing wrong with editing videos. It's just like, it's just not the kind of, I guess, standard that I want to set for my channel, having these like edited videos where I edit out all my like ums and pauses and everything and all the blank space and the ditziness or whatever you gets caught on screen. Because I think we have a lot of that out there in the world, and I'm just want to be as authentic as I can be here, for this like new part of my journey, coming back online. I think that was something that I sort of made a promise to myself when I returned, because I that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. With like moving on from my other channel, because also the content that I was making before, I just don't feel like connected with it anymore. And it's not that I don't understand or agree with the opinion. It's more just there's so much negativity in the world. And I just feel like I'm getting emotional. I'm emotional because I've had a lot going on today. So I just feel so much And I just have so much love in my heart, and I just want this to be a space for that. Um, Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional because with everything going on with my health and also focusing on my writing, but because of like the dissociative seizures and stuff, I had to put my 2 weeks in for my job, um, working with kids, and I had to tell them a couple days ago. And with DID, sometimes I don't feel things right away, and it like hits me later. And a lot of my kiddos were just really upset about it. I didn't know. I don't see myself clearly sometimes, and like I know I tried to have like the best impact I could. Oh my god, I'm getting so emotional. What the fuck? But I didn't know if that was like seen with them. And there was just this one, I mean all of them, but there was this one girl who just we just hugged for like 10 minutes. And I still have 2 weeks there. But she just would not let go of me for like 10 minutes, and she just told me that her heart was broken. And I sometimes the hard thing is the right thing. And my tears aren't about regretting the decision I made. I know that I'm on the right path. It's more just grieving a part of me that I can no longer fit into my life anymore for a lot of reasons. Um, we're down to one vehicle and the health stuff, and also it was just hard for me to be present with everything that was going on inside my head and really do the best job that I could do there. But um something I remind myself when I feel this much and I start crying is just that it's like, you know, me feeling all of this is because of the love I had for the kids and the love they felt for me. And so much that I didn't even know. I was actually placed at a new school this year because we can move schools because we're at like a district for elementary kids. So I move schools. I can move schools going from year to year, but I was only there for a few months, so I just didn't know. I didn't think that the kids were going to be as upset as they were. And I guess it felt good to know that it was good, and it was also just really hard. Okay, that is not how I wanted to end this. Can we and I just said I'm not going to be editing my videos. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess we're leaving that in. Okay. That's fine. This is fine. This is totally fine. I'm fine, guys. Great. Okay, I was gonna end on a poem, right? Yeah, that's what we were gonna do. What poem are we gonna end on now? Sorry, I'm nervous because I just had a little break. Oh. Anyways, ooh, let's do Awaken. You live online, disconnected from the truth of your being. You thirst for great knowledge, even as it remains your darkest fear. You've broken us up into so many trillions of pieces that you think it must be impossible to learn to forgive yourself now for all the horrific things our consciousness has endured trapped inside these fragile bodies. So you stay hidden, living like puppets in a walking nightmare, fooling yourselves into believing you're better than the objectively evil, morally corrupt ones pulling at your strings. Also, you can pretend it's not your hands bloodied at the other end. All while you hide, protect, and save yourself and those parts nearest and dearest to you from hearing the terrifying truth buried deep within you. Yes, you think you're protecting them too. You're wrong, but that's okay too. Sometimes we have to be. That's the tragic love story entangled within the existence of our humanity. How does it end? Remember, you are not here, just as I am not there. We are not anywhere. We are the everywhere. You and I are not human. Know that, and you will know what it means not to transcend, but to understand. You are the transcended. And yeah, that was Awaken from my book In the Beginning There Was Us. I think this is actually on sale right now. So I believe it's only $1.99 if you want to purchase it on Amazon. The link will be in the description. Um, and I'm gonna end this here before I go into another spiral. So as always, stay open, stay curious, and remember in the beginning there was us, and I will catch you next time. All right. Bye.